Hello, it's Damon from Spark Angels here again. Today we are going to be doing a little solder job on removing the back plates, or the shields on a 5S. So we're going to be removing both the bottom, top and the back one. So what you pretty much need for that is a hot air station, which just loosens up the solder so you can pull off the shield, and a pair of tweezers and somewhere to heat on. We've got a heat resistant mat and just a little gadget to hold the boards in place. We also have the sounds of a busy restaurant, speak English, Damien, a restaurant ambient noise in the background, so we'll have that playing while I go over it. I might talk a little bit more on this one because obviously it's not something normal as just changing a battery or a screen. But as per normal, if you want to comment or find out anything about it, just comment on below or leave comments after or personal message us. Brilliant, so we'll start it off. So first off, obviously you need to take out the main board out of the device. So take out the whole board, and then anything on the device or the main board that can come off, peel it off. So you've got this little shield here that just protects all of your little chips, little plastic cover. You want to peel that off. You've got one down at the bottom here for the battery. You want to peel that one off. You'll have things like cables that are sitting down here that you want to take out. Pretty much anything that's got screws in it you want to take out. Obviously most of it is just taking out the actual phone, the board itself, so you won't need to worry about that. But anything else, any sticker, those stickers there we can't take off. They will just melt a little bit, but we'll work around that, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So what we'll do is we'll put in this little bracket just to kind of hold it in place so we can take up the things. You want to have something to hold it in place, because when you're peeling off the shield, you're going to be putting force in between the shield and the board to lift the two apart. Obviously if the board's not in a firm position, that can move around, it'll make it a lot harder. Right, so what we'll start off is we'll get the hot air. So what you want to do is you just want to go around. We'll start off at the bottom, just circular motion. We're just going to heat it up just to get it to a point where it starts melting.
And what heat would you need to put this at to do this?
Well, we have it at 360 to remove it. Obviously with that it's quite a high heat, so you don't want to go along the same place or just leave it in one place for too long. You kind of want to move it around, and just so it's not getting too hot, and you could actually damage the device if it's too hot. Right, so what you want to do is you get your tweezers, just thin tweezers, and you want to get in where there's a little gap. Generally you can see little gaps around, but what you want to do is just get in and lift up. As you can see, that started lifting up already, and what you do is you just lift it up and pull it away from it. Don't move it around on the board, because all the little chips underneath it, as you can see those little chips on there, if you just start pushing it up or moving it around, you could knock one of those chips, and if you knock one of those chips can come loose, and then you've got a bigger job of putting those chips back into place. So just with a little bit of heat, that gets that shield back off. Right, so what we'll do is we'll put our hot air station there. It will get very loud, so just bear with us. Obviously you don't want to touch the board now as well, because the board will still be piping hot, and if you touch one of those chips, you can end up moving one of those chips around, so you don't want to touch it at the moment. What we'll do is we'll try and lift up the board. This board is dead, so we don't need to worry too much about moving the chips and stuff. We're just kind of showing you how to get off the plates without damaging the device. So what I'll do here is I'll just move it over to the other side, just so we can swap a board over to the front. And I'll do the same thing with the front too. So I'll turn around, I'll put the board upside down just so you can get a better view on the camera. Right, so we start with the top shield. We get our hot air station again and do the same thing. Obviously with this one it's a little bit smaller, so you need a little bit less heat. Another thing, when putting in your tweezers, you don't want to put in your tweezers too far because you'll end up hitting the chips underneath it. So you just want to go in a small little bit just so you can lift it up. Just like that. And there we go, you can see the A process underneath that, the A7 on the 5S. So we'll take up that shield, we'll put that shield to the side. Remember again, that is still going to be very hot. But what we'll do is we'll show you the bottom one as well. So we'll do the same thing. Get the hot air station again. And we'll go over the bottom one as well. Again with this, don't get in too far. Just want to slightly hold it and then lift it up. And that gets off all the shields. So as you can see on the camera there, we're back. Got a little bit of cameras. Oh, we got a message from Stacy saying skills. Thank you very much. It's not an easy job doing these. Obviously with the right equipment it does make the job a lot easier, but trying to do it without the right equipment does make the job a lot harder. Even with the right equipment, obviously you do have some things you need to learn and some tasks that aren't pretty easy. But as you can see, that is all the shields off it. So you can see all the chips exposed underneath it. Right. So what we'll end up doing now is we'll just show you how to put them back on, which is pretty much the same method of taking them off, but it's just a little bit of lining them up. So we'll start up with the bottom one. So to put them on, make sure that's not too hot. Nope. Right. So to put it on, obviously you need to make sure you get the right shields in the right place. So obviously with most of them, the best way to find out is they'll have little holes over there. And those will be the screw holes. So if those line up and you can see another holes with it, and it matches all the solder points around it. Because if you look under here, all of them will have these little solder points all the way around, that goes all the way around it. So what you need to do, if that matches up, it'll kind of make like a little shape, which you can see it. Well, the shape will be the same as the shield. So you know that's the right place. Generally most times you only take off one by one. So that shouldn't be too much of a problem, but in case you do multiple, then you just kind of know how to get it back into place. Right, so with this one, they do have
we wouldn't be able to test the phone really. Obviously, we've managed
little
to power on with a new
bits that are
battery.
further, I don't know if you can see that, there we go.
Everything else is working really.
Little bit that's further than the rest of it. And what that will do is that will slot into a little slot in the main board. So it'll line up perfectly straight. So you don't need to worry about if it's in line or if the solder points are on or if it's going to knock any chips or anything like that. That will fit in place and it won't move. It'll stay there. And obviously as long as that hole's lined up, it should be in place anyway. So what you want to do now is you just want to kind of hold it in place with some tweezers. Don't put too much force on it, just hold it in place. And you want to go around with the hot air station, and you can kind of see the solder melts on the sides. So you just go around all the way around it, and once you start seeing the solder melt on the sides, you remove the hot air station, or the hot air gun, sorry, and just hold it in place. Try not to lift it up or move it around too much because you will end up moving the plate. So hold it there for a little bit. Once the solder starts setting and cools down, that will hold it back into place.
You say it's important to only heat up the section that you're doing and make sure that's only heated up?
Generally, once you heat up the plate, the heat will spread and it will disperse all the way through the plate. But what you want to try and do is just keep the heat on the outside. The whole plate will get heated up, including the board. So it doesn't matter too much, but I suggest just going over the place you need. You don't want to start heating up other places because you can damage things like this hole here is plastic, so if you go too far you could end up melting that plastic, which you don't want to do. So generally, yeah, just wave it over the place you need to go. And like I said, on the heat that we've got, you don't want to do it too much, otherwise you could damage the board and you could overheat it, and which could cause problems. So I believe that's a little bit cooled down at the moment. And what we'll do is we'll get in there, just lift it up, just so I can show you that that plate is now firmly in place. That's not going to fall out. That plate's firmly in place. What I'll do is I'll do the other two for you now. I'll let it cool down for a bit, and then once it's cooled down, we'll show you that the plates are all aligned again and all not moving and falling out of place. Alright, so the same with this one. You just put it on. It should have the little bits that are longer than the rest, like that, longer than the rest, and they'll slot in to the part on the board. And make sure all the screw holes line up, and that should be in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this one, I'm going to turn it over, do the other one, and then we'll go over it from there. Doesn't take long for that solder to melt or to set back into place. So this is still going to be hot. So I'm just going to grab it from there.
And what is the importance of the shields for the board itself?
So the importance for the shields is to cover up all those little chips you see underneath it.
Yeah.
So if, say for instance, you didn't have the shields on it and one of those chips was touching another chip. Well, no, one of those chips was touching another chip by a little bit of metal that got in there, a little bit of something that got in there to make connection between the two. So like water or a bit of metal or little shards of something like that's conductive pretty much, and will make current go from the one chip to the other. You will short it out. Which the shields are there to stop that from happening. Obviously it doesn't stop water from going inside of it, but with taking off the shields you can see that the water underneath it. So we'll do this for like board level work, and we'll do it for water damage. So water damage is you'll get water inside of it and it'll get corrosion, and the only way to clear up that corrosion is by taking off these shields that we've taken off. So we'll take off the shields and then we can see all the corrosion underneath that the water has caused, and we'll clean it all up, which could help with the device working again. So that's one of the reasons why the shields are there. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll quickly put on this one, we'll give it some time to cool down, and then I'll show you all the shields back in place.
And in case anyone was wondering, this can't be done with a hairdryer.
Yeah, it definitely can't be done with a hairdryer. Hairdryers definitely don't heat up anywhere close to what it needs to be temperature wise. and obviously hair dryers will go over. Hair dryers will go over a bigger distance as well, which you don't want. Right, so we're just letting it cool down for a little bit at the moment, just so I can touch it and show you guys the shield's all on there properly and not falling off. So we'll just take that out there. But as you can see, and we'll get in there. Those shields on there are nice and firm. They're not falling off. Obviously, as you can see as well, they're all positioned right. All the holes are back there in place. Like I said, that one there will get a little bit bubbly and a little bit scratched, just because we can't actually take off that. But otherwise, that is the shields back on the iPhone 7, iPhone 5S. So obviously, like I said, that's used for our board level stuff, to take off any of the chips that are needed under there, like the IC chip, or it's used for water damage, to clean out any corrosion underneath the actual shields to get the device working again. Brilliant. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that video. Obviously, like I said, it's not one that anyone can do at home, but it's just nice to see how we do all the water damage stuff, or all the board level repairs that we do, and how to get to that point that we can start doing them. But I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, like normal, comment on the video below if you'd like to know anything, or you'd like us to repair anything, or you've had an accident where you've dropped your device into water. Your device will go through one of these repairs. But just private message us and we'll speak to you about them. Brilliant. And I hope you also enjoyed the ambient noise of the restaurant. This was Damien, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Thank you very much.